everybody, welcome to Ogden Nature Center on this beautiful summer day. My name is Sarah, one of the naturalists here, and we are getting to be around the dog days of summer right now. That means the hottest, the most sweltering and lazy days of summer. And what better way to spend that time of the summer than to explore the wettest parts of Ogden Nature Center, and that's our ponds. So today we're going to talk a little bit about some cool things that you can learn from the ponds at Ogden Nature Center. But first, I want us to take a little look over at our pond right now. Just kind of look at what you can see on the top of the pond, around the pond. What can you hear? Now I hear some birds singing, and I see lots of plants. You might see a turtle up there. You might even see ducks. We actually just saw a muskrat swimming in the water, trying to make its little home out of the reeds. Now, you see lots of things on top of the pond, but what I want to talk about today are the cool things that you can find below the surface. There's a whole other world under there that we don't even really see most of the time. So we're going to talk a little bit about that today. Now, the first thing I want to do is right now there's some really cool critters. They've been making some noise. They've been sitting on the edge of the pond. I want to go see if we can find some frogs. So we're going to go down to the pond very carefully, quietly, and see if we can see a couple frogs. Oh, I already see so many. If you look at the edge of the water especially, I can already count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Probably more than that. And they stick their little noses out of the water so that they can breathe, because these frogs in their adult stage, they're breathing oxygen, so they can't stay under the water the whole time. So we've got all these little frogs. In fact, if we can see them a few feet into the water, we've got a big frog out there. That one must have hatched real early this year and got really big and fat. And throughout this presentation, if you can listen, you might be able to hear the frogs singing. They kind of sound like the twang of a banjo string. So let's talk a little bit about metamorphosis. Metamorphosis is when something changes from one form into a completely different form. For example, you and I, when we're born as infants, we have all the same body parts that we're going to have when we're grown up. But a lot of creatures go through metamorphosis where they start off one way and they end up completely differently. So let's talk about our frogs. They start off as these tiny little jelly eggs where you can see little baby tadpoles inside. And they grow and hatch into what we know as tadpoles, which look completely different than a frog. This has no legs. It's got this cute little tail on the end to help it swim through the water. Now, they'll continue to grow into a bigger tadpole, and soon they'll grow their back legs. This is their body starting to really change, where they get all their good bones inside and get legs and things. And after they've grown their back legs, they'll even start to grow their front legs, and sometimes they'll even have that little bit of a tail on the end still. And then finally, they'll end up like our frog friend here. They'll have all 4 legs, they won't have a tail anymore, and they'll be ready to do what our frogs are doing, which is call for a mate and find someone to help them make the eggs and lay the eggs for the next generation. So those are our frogs. Now I want to talk about another creature that goes through metamorphosis. What we have here is a dragonfly nymph. I think that looks at all like the adult dragonfly. Not very much. It might have big eyes, kind of like the dragonfly, and it has 6 legs still, but it has to go through a lot of changes before it's going to look like this. It's got to grow its wings out, and in fact, these guys, the nymph, they can breathe. That's upside down. They can breathe underwater. So these guys can't. So they have to go through so many changes to be ready to become adults again. Now, this is one of those things that you're going to find deep into the murky parts of the pond. These are hunters, and they actually hunt for lots of little other macroinvertebrates or little water insects that live below the surface of the pond. So what we've got here in this bowl are a bunch of little, what we call macroinvertebrates. Invertebrate means they don't have a spine. So we've got all kinds of cool little guys in here. I've got some leeches. I've got some critters called scuds. There's even a few back swimmers. And I think I even caught a snail in there. So we've got all kinds of little things in here. These are some of the things you might find in the water. You've got water boatmen, or even little water mites. Here's our scud that I was talking about. Looks like a little tiny shrimp. But another thing that you might find in there, our snail, our little pond snail. And if you're really lucky, you'll get to find a predaceous diving beetle, which eats everything in its path. And these cool little back swimmers that we have, a few little baby ones in there too. There's life teeming in just this tiny bit of water. And now what I want to do is go ahead and show you how you can observe and catch and find life like this on your own. All you're going to need is a bowl like this, some pond water, and a net. So now we've got our net, we're ready to get into that water. Now, you need to kind of know where you want to look. And the truth is, you're going to want to look in places where there's lots of plant life, because those critters like to hide. You're also going to want to get down into the muck. And so one of the best ways is to take your net, I'm scaring some of the frogs here, and you want to get it towards the really mucky bottom and kind of sift it up a little bit, and then scoop what you've disturbed out of the water. Now, for example, I have found a few teeny itsy bitsy little things in the mud there. But if you don't find anything you end up in your net, you want to dump back out into the pond. Now, a little bit into the pond, I've got all this weedy stuff, these plants that are growing in the water. I'm going to try dipping in there. And a lot of times if you get plants, you're going to get a lot more insects on there. Like I've got about a gajillion snails in here. And I've definitely got some water boatmen and lots of scuds. This little handful is teeming with life. Now this is very important. You should never dump what you find on the ground. All these creatures are aquatic. That means they survive in the water. And that means if you dump anything on the ground, well, they're not going to survive and they're all going to die. So you want to make sure that anything you get in your net, you dump back in, or you can bring it to your bowl of pond water and you can observe it there. But when you're done, make sure you put everything back in our pond. So that's just one way that you can explore nature this summer. I hope you get to find some really cool things and learn some new stuff about the world underneath our ponds. Thank you for joining us at Ogden Nature Center. We hope to see you again soon. Have a great day.